Ever wondered how Halloween came into existence? It's more than just costumes and candy. As the chill of autumn descends, and the leaves turn from green to hues of orange, yellow, and red, a unique celebration takes place across the globe. It's a time when imagination runs wild, when the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the line between the living and the dead blurs. This is Halloween, a day filled with fun, laughter, and a fair bit of fright. On this day, children and adults alike don costumes, transforming into witches, ghouls, superheroes, and princesses. Streets echo with the playful chant of trick or treat as youngsters go door to door, collecting a bounty of sweets. Homes and yards turn into eerie spectacles, adorned with carved pumpkins, cobwebs, and ghostly figures. This is the Halloween we know and love, a time of year steeped in whimsy and wonder, shrouded in an air of mystery and magic. But have you ever stopped to consider how this peculiar tradition came to be? How did we transition from everyday life to a night of costumes and candy, of jack-o'-lanterns and jovial frights? The story of Halloween is a tale as intriguing as the holiday itself, a tale that takes us back in time, across cultures, and into the heart of human history. Halloween as we know it today is not merely a product of modern times. It has roots that reach deep into the past, entangled within ancient rituals, religious observances, and cultural practices. It's a celebration that has evolved, adapted, and survived through centuries, reflecting the changing times and societies. From its earliest beginnings in ancient Celtic festivals to its transformation under Roman and Christian influences, and its emergence in the modern world, the history of Halloween is a fascinating journey. It's a journey that not only reveals the origins of this ghostly celebration but also offers insights into the evolution of human culture and tradition. So are you curious about the roots of this ghostly celebration? Let's dive into the past. Our journey takes us back over 2,000 years, to the Celtic festival of Samhain. This ancient celebration, held on the eve of November 1st, was a pivotal point in the Celtic calendar. It marked the end of the harvest season, a time for people to gather their resources and prepare for the colder months ahead. But more than that, Samhain was a time of transition, a doorway from the lighter part of the year to the darker, a period often associated with death. The Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, believed that on the night of Samhain, the boundary between the living and the dead became blurred. They thought that the ghosts of the deceased returned to Earth, causing trouble and damaging crops. But these spirits also made it easier for the Druids, or Celtic priests, to make predictions about the future, offering comfort and guidance to a people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world. During this event, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and they attempted to tell each other's fortunes. They built huge sacred bonfires where people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. It was a communal event, a time of coming together, sharing stories and reinforcing bonds. But Samhain was not only about death and the supernatural, it also celebrated rebirth and the circle of life. With the arrival of winter, the Celts understood that spring and a new growing season were just around the corner. It was this balance, this understanding of life's cycles, that was at the heart of Samhain. Little did the Celts know that their end-of-harvest festival would evolve into the Halloween we know today. Their ancient traditions, filled with mystery and a deep respect for the natural world, laid the groundwork for our modern-day celebrations, intertwining the threads of time and reminding us of our shared human history. As the Roman Empire expanded, so did their influence, including their festivities. When Rome conquered Celtic lands around the 1st century, they brought with them their own festivals. Two of these, Feralia and Pomona, would play a significant role in shaping the tradition of Samhain, and ultimately, Halloween. Let's start with Feralia. Celebrated in late October, Feralia was a day when Romans paid tribute to the dead. They would offer food and drink to appease the spirits, which is not unlike the trick-or-treating we see today. On the other hand, Pomona was a festival that honored the Roman goddess of fruit and trees, particularly the apple. This may seem unrelated to Halloween, but consider the popular Halloween tradition of bobbing for apples. This game is thought to have originated from the Pomona festival, where the apple served as a symbol for the goddess. Over time, the traditions of Samhain, Feralia, and Pomona began to blend together. The Romans, being the great assimilators they were, didn't seek to eradicate the Celtic festival of Samhain. Instead, they incorporated it into their own celebrations. This is how Samhain began to adopt elements of Feralia and Pomona, and vice versa. As these celebrations merged, they started to resemble what we now recognize as Halloween. The honoring of the dead, the appeasement of spirits, the bobbing of apples. These are all elements that have persisted over the centuries and found their way into our modern Halloween celebrations. However, changes were still to come. The Roman Empire eventually adopted Christianity as its official religion, and this would bring about another layer of transformation to the festival. But that's a story for our next scene. So while Halloween has its roots in the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, it's clear that the Romans played a significant role in shaping it into the holiday we know today. The fusion of these festivals was just the beginning of the journey towards Halloween as we know it. With the spread of Christianity, old traditions morphed with new beliefs. The Christian faith, gaining ground across Europe, didn't wipe away the old customs so much as it absorbed and transformed them. Among these traditions were the celebrations of Samhain and the Roman festivals, which evolved under the Christian influence. Enter All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, two significant Christian holidays that adopted elements of the older festivities. All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day, was a time to honor all the saints in Christian history, while All Souls' Day was a day to remember and pray for the souls of the departed who were believed to be in purgatory. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III moved All Saints' Day, originally celebrated in the spring, to November 1st. Some believe this was a strategic move to replace Samhain with a Christian observance. The night before All Saints' Day, known as All Hallows' Eve, became a holy yet eerie time of year, with many of the Samhain traditions carried forward. Bonfires, once lit to ward off evil spirits during Samhain, were now lit in celebration of All Hallows' Eve. The tradition of dressing up in costumes derived from the ancient practice of disguising oneself to avoid recognition by harmful spirits continued, but with a Christian spin. Instead of dressing as animals or spirits, people began to dress as saints, angels, and biblical characters. Even the Roman festivals played a part. The festival of Pomona, the goddess of fruit and trees, likely influenced the bobbing for apples tradition, a game still played today. The Christian intervention didn't erase the old traditions, it transformed them, blending the pagan past with Christian beliefs. It was a fusion of cultures, a merging of beliefs, a mingling of the sacred and the profane that gave rise to a unique and enduring celebration. The transformation of these ancient celebrations continued, leading to the creation of All Hallows' Eve, known today as Halloween. And so, the journey of Halloween continues, from ancient rituals to Christian observances and into our modern-day festivities. Fast forward to the 20th century, Halloween takes on a new form. As we leave the Middle Ages and plunge into the modern era, the celebration of Halloween undergoes a significant metamorphosis. In the early 20th century, Halloween was popularized in the United States, taking on a unique American flavor. The holiday shifted away from its somber religious roots and began to evolve into a more community-centric celebration. The focus moved from placating spirits to fostering community spirit. During this time, a delightful tradition known as trick-or-treating emerged. Children, dressed in their spookiest attire, would go door to door, asking for treats in exchange for not playing tricks on the homeowners. The phrase trick or treat is a playful warning that if no treat is given, a trick may be played. This practice can be traced back to the medieval custom of souling, where the poor would beg for food and families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for their promise to pray for the family's departed relatives. In the modern context, souling has morphed into a more lighthearted custom, with kids receiving candy and sweets instead of soul cakes. The 20th century also saw the rise of costume parties. Halloween was no longer just about warding off evil spirits, it became an occasion for imaginative expression and playful escapism. People began to dress up in elaborate costumes ranging from the traditional ghosts and witches to popular characters from movies, books, and pop culture. These parties provided a platform for people to break free from their routine lives and step into the shoes of a completely different character, even if just for a night. The tradition of wearing costumes on Halloween is a nod to the ancient Celts who believed that disguising oneself could fool the roaming spirits. As Halloween evolved, it became less about superstition and more about community, creativity, and candy. It's now a time for children and adults alike to let their imaginations run wild and enjoy a night of fun and fright. From ancient Celtic traditions to modern-day celebrations, Halloween has indeed come a long way.